Okay, there we go. Hi, Natalie. Hi, anyone else out there? Let's wait for people to come on. How is everyone out there? How are you, Natalie? We're good. Always that little line, because I know there's a delay, right? So we're like,
yeah.
Wait a minute. One more minute. See who else pops in. The numbers haven't started yet. So I know it's not all streaming through. We're having a good morning, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, there we are. I can see the numbers popping up, things coming in. You guys let us know if you can hear us well. Let me turn my volume up a little.
You sound good.
Okay, you sound good too. Picture's good. Okay, I think we're rolling. So let's do our little review. This is our third, yes, Tarot of the Holy Light discussion, because we're both studying this together. Amy made me get the deck. It's your fault, no list, and she mentioned
no, it's a beautiful
thing now. And then I was like, oh, the astrology isn't what you normally associate with tarot, and how do I read this? And oh my, what's going on? So we talked about and decided to start doing these. So if you haven't watched the other two, we did what did we do? We did cups and swords. We did swords first and then cups, just the pips 1 through 10. And yes. We'll talk about the whole deck. It may take a year, but we'll get so our focus is on the imagery, the cards, but especially the astrological associations, because the system in this deck is unique. Most, not all, of course, but most tarot decks will follow the Golden Dawn astrological associations for the majors and the minors. In this deck, it's different. So just a little review. This is, you can Google for this, the Golden Dawn Wheel of Astrological Associations for all the tarot cards. And it goes in a specific order. It goes Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars. So it's in an order for the astrology. This is not what Tarot of the Holy Light follows, High Anand, but that's what most decks, especially those who have astrological associations for the minors, will follow. This one goes on an elemental system, so it's called the Elemental Decans. It looks like this is a wheel you can also pull up online. And so for each element, for air will be all the air signs, and the decan rulership will go in the order of the 3 air signs. So we'll explain that as we go through, but that's just a little review. Go see the swords video. I talked about that a lot more, but I don't want to take up all the time here. Just watch the first, I don't know, 15 minutes of the swords video if you want. So today we're talking about discs or pentacles. Anything you want to add, Amy?
It's my element. So this was I was looking forward to reading this and going through the discs and associating it with my sign. My Western astrology sign is a Taurus. Yeah. And this overall with the Tarot of the Holy Light, like Julianne was saying, it's easy to go on and on and on about all different aspects of this deck. But when you find something that you can really connect to, especially with this deck, it intrigues you. So when you can relate to your own element, being an earth sign, Christine Payne-Teller takes a philosophical approach to the tarot and goes really deep with it. So there's been comments, I know Julianne and I have seen comments, people like, this deck, I don't get it. I don't understand it. You can't force yourself into a deck like this. You have to already have some knowledge. Not necessarily astrology, but just of the tarot, and then everything else would fall into place. But regarding the discs, I definitely learned aspects this entire journey that Julianne and I have been going on. For me, it's changing the way that I see the tarot. And I can also apply the knowledge that I'm getting here, into my readings. Instead of taking it for face value, what we see in the cards. I mean, this is the Ace of Discs. Oops.
Okay.
So it's quite different from what we see ace, the Ace of Discs. Usually it's a hand with the cup. Sometimes it's very literal, but here it goes much deeper. And if you're open-minded and willing to spend the time and learn what these suits have to offer you, you will learn so much. You will learn so much. I'm not trying to sell the deck, but in a way I am, because I'm selling it in the sense, promoting it in the sense that you will learn something from it. I want to say I will guarantee it, but you will. You just have to spend the time.
I would say this is a great deck if you want to study a deck beyond RWS or thought. And you really want to get into, and you're into like esotericism and all occult things. So what we're going to be referencing here as we go through the Tarot of the Holy Light. This is sort of part one.
I love your tags.
They drive me nuts. Normally I just underline, but I thought, I'm going to try the tag thing. And it's like, there's a second book, which I have not yet read, which I'll read after this one, but it's connected. It's Foundations of Esoteric Tradition. So it goes even deeper into the traditions, into the philosophy of what's in this deck. So it can be again, it's like a great deck if you want to do a lot of in-depth study in tarot and occultism. Okay, so let's get into it. Suit of Discs. Before we get into the cards, there's just a great summary of discs and pentacles, especially if you're unfamiliar with tarot or this suit. It says, think of the disc as the symbol of the quote-unquote currency you possess for protecting your sovereignty in the world. And I thought that was like wonderful.
Yeah.
Discs symbolize the value of your assets, whether they are intellectual, entrepreneurial, artistic, or any other quote-unquote property you command, right down to the sheer brute strength to physically outwork those around you. I really like that. And then one more sentence. When you can translate your assets into a way to pay your bills and take care of your family, you have mastered the energy of discs. As it says in Matthew 6:21, for where your treasure is, there your heart will also be.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great way, because a lot of people look at this just as money, 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 but it's so much more. And when you get a bigger sense of what discs or the earth or material realm is, you realize it's not just, what's in your wallet.
Yeah. And also that external aspect, when you, like you're saying, it's more than that, but when you attain it, you also look back how you attained it. You put the work, you put the effort. And that's more or less what discs, pentacles, coins are about. It's just the prized effort, the journey, the work, everything that you put into it, and looking back, building a business, whatever. It was just like, wow, it was worth all those blood, sweat, and tears.
Right. Yeah. So like the value isn't just the monetary.
Yeah. And when you get back inside, it's how you feel inside. It's like, wow, it's personal, it's inner success.
Yeah.
It's complete.
Is success and satisfaction isn't necessarily connected to your bank account. There's just so much more to it. Okay, so let's start Ace of Discs. So in most tarots, like Golden Dawn influence, the astrological associations will be for 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10. Here, and in those systems, the Ace would be like the general energy of that element. So here we have Earth. In this deck, it's lumped Ace 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is the general card for all the astrological signs of that element. So it orders it differently. So what I learned, like when I first got this deck, I was like, the astrology doesn't fit. Just set RWS and thought aside and just look at it for what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so and again, we're not going to look at the Kabbalah associations or the angelic dignities. We're focusing on the astrology here, because that could be like another year study. Maybe we'll go into that. So the astrology here is for the first decan of Capricorn. So it goes the same order like Golden Dawn astrological associations, where it's cardinal sign, fixed sign, and the mutable sign. So the cardinal sign of Earth is Capricorn. So you can see that at the bottom there. And then it will give the upright dignity and then the reverse dignity. So it's Capricorn and the first decan of Capricorn. So the first decan of each sign will be its own rulership, and then it's the rulership of the next Earth sign, and the third decan is the third Earth sign. Okay, I'll go through each one as we go. So the upright domicile, Saturn in Capricorn, so that's what this card is. And the reversed is the similar, so the other sign that planet rules, so Saturn in Aquarius. So that's the astrological associations of ace. So the ace is the, it's the bam, it's the spark of that element in each suit. So first decan, the cardinal sign. Cardinal is a Tory. It starts season. It's like, yeah, it totally is the ace energy. Pow. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, we see the beginnings here. I mean, we see growth. We're starting to see, oops. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't be going side by side.
We try to hold for each other.
Yeah, there we go. So this is a typical representation. Well, one, I shouldn't say it's typical, but we're seeing the growth. We're starting to see the effort that's being put into what we are working towards. Mm-hmm. And that was my mindset when I was going through. Exactly. We're seeing healthy leaves. We're seeing the benefits of the fertile soil and the flowers coming up. We're starting to see things blossom. The roots are good. But also, if you look at the bottom, we have the moon. And the moon, it's in its waning stage. So the moon is... well, let's see, I'm looking, it's at its waning stage. So this is a time where things are sort of, you kind of look back and things are already in its position, but you're kind of looking at it. So again, this is the underlying part where the moon is. So it's our subconscious, how we see about things at the root level. And so when I see the moon here, it's just like in its waning stage, it's a time just to see what has been developing so far. Mm-hmm. And I think those look like stars underneath, I believe.
Yeah, so 3 stars.
Yeah. And so
this is on that sun and the eye.
Yeah, exactly. And that's our focus. That's almost like we're going through the subconscious, conscious, and then we're in our present state. How we're seeing things, how we're looking at things at this moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going, so I'll just stop.
I did mark one thing
in
this chapter. So this ace tells us to study deeply the already established order that currently governs the circumstances around you.
Yeah.
Make sure you appreciate every benefit and understand every feature of the current circumstance before you start rearranging things to suit your momentary whim. So this is also saying, like, really understand what is. Hi, Joanna. Understand what is before you take that initiatory action. So that's the patient Saturn energy in Capricorn. Saturn in Capricorn is hard work, but it leads to great success, material and otherwise. But we have to be patient. So even though it's ace, it's initiatory cardinal sign. We don't jump into it. We don't rush into it. It's earth. It's the slowest elemental energy. We pace ourselves. We know what we're getting into so that we can get into it and be successful. Yeah. So I like that. Okay.
You took the time. And just really, really quick, the waning moon's going to be in Capricorn. I think it's today or tomorrow. I wrote it down.
Okay.
So it applies in that sense, using this energy. I'm looking again at the moon, that you have your project, you have what you're already working on. And like Julianne was saying, you don't rush into it. You look at what has been already in progress. If any changes have to be made, don't make great changes, just move into it slowly. And in time, by taking that slow effort and looking at things, pacing yourself, there is the potential for a successful outcome. Just keep on that journey. Just keep focusing on the direction that you want to go. You're getting good results. You just got to keep moving with that.
Yeah. So yeah, slow, steady
Slow, steady.
action, seed planting, Ace is planting the seeds, and things will grow. Rush it, like you pull the Ace of Discs in this deck, you rush anything, you try to like plant those seeds and you don't get the right soil, and it's not enough light, like they start and then they die.
Yeah.
Right. So
plants are very sensitive.
Yeah.
Plants, anything material-wise, money, whatnot. You got to be careful with the investment that you're putting into anything like that.
Yeah.
If you're
careful investment.
Yeah.
So Saturn and Capricorn energy. Very careful, thought through, well-planned investment. Like it's going to grow into, the 10 of Pentacles, basically. Okay, so the 2 of Discs. So the second decan of Capricorn, the cardinal sign. So the second decan is ruled by Venus because she rules Taurus, the next earth sign from Capricorn. The essential dignity. So upright complement is Saturn in Leo. And it's because Leo is opposite of Aquarius, which is the other sign Saturn rules. This took me a while to figure all this out. And the reverse detriment is Saturn in Cancer, because Cancer is opposite Capricorn, the main sign that Saturn rules. So this goes by traditional astrology. So Saturn rules Aquarius. It doesn't include Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Okay, so we have our 2 of Pentacles here. You can look at the image and see, oh yeah, there's sort of like, sort of the infinity symbol, the balancing. But what I like about this card is that, has in the circle, I might have to hold it up to point. In the circle, yeah, so we have the sun, the bright sun at top.
Yeah.
We have the sun, like the full moon down here, the new moon up here, and the moon at the bottom. So it's like balancing out masculine and feminine, light and day, action and rest.
Yeah.
Putting those things all together. Venus, you could see Venus is like, she likes luxury, resting and cultivating the garden, working in the garden, and letting it work itself. So bringing the 2 together. It's like the imagery in this deck at first, like my first impression was like, oh, it's so simple. It's all just astrological, like digital collage. And then you sit with it, you look at it, you read the book, and you realize it is packed full of symbolism. And so the reverse, you get the moon up top, quiet, the full moon here, but the full moon's reflecting the sun. It sort of like quiets down the energy. But it's not inert. It's not, the reverse Saturn in Cancer. It's like time to water the garden, time to do the weeding. You have to like balance. That's a great way to hold it. Yeah.
I think this is good.
What you're doing for those seeds of the Ace to grow, right? You have to tend to the garden. And sometimes tending to the garden is just sitting back and waiting. And sometimes it's action. Patience. Yes. Capricorn energy. Patience, of course. Amy, anything you want to add? I'll hold it up.
Julianne and I will be making reference to the book because it kind of helps clarify what we want to put into words, which it's very I wrote here with the 2 of Discs that having the patience, you pretty much well covered it. We're basically we have to wait. And I was speaking with her about patience for myself and just letting things move. There's fluidity too that's in this. And I have a question to ask you, Julianne, because we're both learning from each other. That's okay. The detriment is Saturn in Cancer. In this card, we see the moon, we see the flow, we see the movement. So my question to you, and I know I tend to throw questions out of nowhere,
No, I like it. Okay.
The movement,
Mhm.
the flow, the moon phases. Sorry. Could you maybe give me your impression with its relationship, Saturn and Cancer, the reverse, showing the movement? Does that make sense in a way? I'm trying to figure out.
So Saturn's slow moving, right? Slow
Yes.
moving. Cancer ruled by the moon, so it's connecting it to the moon. So Saturn rules Capricorn. The opposite sign to the main sign that a planet rules is its fall or detriment. There's a little semantic. I have disagreement with some of the semantics in the book, but its energy isn't. It's like the opposite. It's not as vibrant. So Saturn in Capricorn is super strong, and Saturn in Cancer is sort of like washed over. Like it's like Saturn, an old man, is standing in like 3 inches of mud or something.
Okay.
That's energy. So it's like with the moon energy, it's kind of like the waning moon, basically. Like you can still move. You got to move slow.
Yeah.
But you have to understand where you're standing in order to move forward.
Okay.
You have to understand, okay, I don't know. Maybe I need an example, but you have to or it's like, the balance energy of the two of discs. It's like, oh, I haven't done this, so I can't do that. And I need to do this, but I need to do this first.
Okay.
And I also need to rest.
Okay.
In order to be as active and take as much action as I want. So I think this section in the chapter kind of maybe addresses that question. Maybe.
Yeah.
So here it says no need to hurry. You have all the time you need to see through the circumstance, no matter how things appear right now. Implied within this scenario is the idea that changes are in the works, but you will do better to stay calm until you have more information. Everything is in flux right now.
Okay.
And I like that because I think often we don't realize we need more information before we can take the next step.
Yeah.
I want to take the next step. So I've planted a seed in some way. We'll just stick with standard Pentacles. I've sent out my job application. Things are in the works.
Yeah.
I'm impatient. I want to keep sending them emails and calling them to see if they've looked at my application. Am I going to get an interview? But it's like, no, step back, wait.
Yeah.
Let it sprout.
Okay.
Check in, take a little action, but sit back and wait. It's like, don't jump at things. Don't rush into things. That's the balance we need. Like, okay, take an action step and sit back and wait.
Okay.
But it's the sitting back and wait. It's that Saturn Capricorn energy we don't we don't like. And then so Saturn in Cancer is wait even more, but it's waiting and not seeing things be productive, like Capricorn energy.
Would you say for Saturn Cancer would be just like a retention of your emotions? Don't get like you're saying, don't get emotionally too overwhelmed with what's been going on. Like you're saying, in a way you're thinking, but your heart's just like, no, I probably shouldn't have put in that, or I shouldn't have done this. Oh, and you start
like doubting your emotions.
Doubting, yes.
Like questioning them.
Yeah.
Backpedaling on them.
Yeah.
Or at least actually taken based on emotions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like Saturn and Cancer energy. So that's the reverse.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you can look at this at first. Again, this is how the first impression is oh, this deck's art is simple, and think, oh, it's just kind of like the same thing, but it's not. The sun and moon, the moon phases change. It all switches around.
I like this position.
Yeah.
It's the balance. It's
yeah, bringing in the balance to cultivate what we want.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? I did mark a few other things in the book. This sentence: the two discs project a facsimile of form, but in fact, there's a lot more empty space than matter present in the shape they describe. And I was like, ooh, that's
wow.
It's very philosophical.
Yeah.
There's a lot more empty space than matter. And I want to say, it's hard for us to often just sit in the space of things, the energetic space of things. to let the balance happen.
Yeah.
Because we we don't want to slow down that Capricorn energy. But stuff is always happening.
Yeah.
Stuff is always happening. That's all I marked for this one. Oh no, I did one more thing. Oh, well, just a little more on the philosophy here. The last two sentences. In truth, most items in our increasingly artificial world are really just a displacement of space. Oh, here we go. To create the impression of value. Right? So we want to fill in our space. And that can be literal. Like, my observation is that I see, well, I haven't been in people's homes in a long time, right? But like people clutter their space.
Yeah.
And cram in as much stuff into their homes. And I'm always like, oh, it's too crowded, and I get rid of things, So, but it's like that space allows us to cultivate the things that are truly of value, not physical material, right? So here it says, the content is more imagined than actual. The best course would be to cease worrying about which end is up. Which end is up? That's funny.
I know we're going like this.
And embrace the paradox that thingness, and nothingness are simply different stages of the very same energy. So it's so much about that balance of duality, sun and moon, light and dark, space and content or matter. So,
and it's basically
the two of pentacles or two of discs I've ever come across.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. With the two of discs, we get the Rider-Waite-Smith interpretation, but here there's more to it. We get the philosophical aspect, and it is balancing. It's multitasking in a sense, but doing it in such a way that you have control in those actions, and also maintaining your own well-being and your health. Don't overwhelm yourself with so much.
Yeah, and also control of our inaction.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to say this to when I did a lot of massage therapy and my clients. I would, they're I worked on a lot of athletes and they're like, go, 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 go. And I would say, just think of rest as an activity in itself.
Yeah.
That's important there.
It's so funny because I wrote this down. I think when I was at the 10 of discs, I wrote down an active action. I write down key things that stand out to me.
Yeah.
And then, in a way, this is sort of what I feel is the progression of the discs.
Yeah.
You have to, don't be overly controlling. You have to monitor. You have to watch. Keep that eye.
Yes.
But don't choke it. Don't overwhelm it. Give it the space.
Yeah.
Right. And when you clear out clutter or organized chaos for some people, they have everything in their place. It looks crazy, but they know where everything is. If you do it in that manner, you see things so much more. You release, you let go. And when you do that, when you do house cleaning or anything like that, you're just much better.
Yeah.
You feel so much better.
Yeah. It can be hard to get to that point, right?
Yeah.
We're going off on a philosophical when you have too much stuff or you're trying to gather more and more stuff, you don't appreciate all those bits. And that's you're organized chaos. If you know where everything is and you're using it, you're appreciating it. But you have so much, you lose this balance. Hold it that way.
Yeah.
You lose that perspective of the opposite.
Yes.
And so you can get stuck in those muddy waters, basically.
Yeah.
And not move. Okay. All right. And you guys in the chat, add in anything you want. Or ask questions, whatever. We're just talking away. Okay. So 3 of discs for the third decan of Capricorn, ruled by Mercury, because Mercury rules Virgo, which is the third earth sign from Capricorn. The essential dignity, upright exaltation, so Saturn in Libra. Saturn is exalted in Libra in astrology. And the fall, which I would call debilitation, is Saturn in Aries, is debilitated in Aries in astrology. So that's the astrological energy here. So Mercury in Capricorn, Mercury, the busy mind, right? and also the trickster. So it's in a way, it's like a way we can trip ourselves up. But it's really just a lot of busyness, being productive, doing things. You know, this is called works in the Thoth Tarot. And here, you know, we do see the couple. I can't. I feel like if I point to it, people point to it.
No, I'll do it.
On the top, like in like an RWS deck, and it's, you know, it's the two discs and then the one on top. So it's like building up on top of the earth, on top of the world. So it's like putting stuff into action, implementing our mind into our physical material world towards success, or literally towards our work. And, you know, in the upright, it's the Saturn and Libra energy. And Libra, again, is that balance. Like once we've achieved enough of this balance, it's not perfect every day. It's not every single day, but enough of that balance. We're in that flow of that balance. We're aware of have and have nots, really. The Saturn and Libra energy is in flow. And so Saturn, the discipline, the hard work, patience is easier, and we're building and growing things in our material life. And then the debilitation, Saturn and Aries, so in the reversed, Amy. It's like we're overwhelmed by the weight of the world, kind of literally in this image, right? We're overwhelmed by the weight of the world, and we can't take that action. Like Saturn and like fiery, initiatory Aries energy is so opposite. You know, Aries is like go-getter, want to be number one. You know, that guy in business and investment who's just like go, working 20 hours a day, making more money, whatever. And Saturn's like, no, slow down. So that those opposing energies, it's like the weight of the world, the weight of, you know, in someone's personal life, it could be like financial responsibility is just too much. And you need to backtrack and find the balance. The balance needs to come back in. So that's the astrology.
Well, the other thing too is we see, okay, the other thing that we see here in relation to Libra is the harmony, the balance, the duality. We see the sun and the moon. And I wrote down.
And it says harmony.
Yep.
At the top too. Can't.
It's there.
That. Okay.
And yeah, reverse. I have some things I want to read here.
Yep.
The reverse, yeah. I mean, the energy of responsibility and discipline, feeling maybe too much restrictions, you know, with what's going on. And trying to create the harmony between those two realms. You know, you have a cohesiveness that's going on in the outer world, but when you flip things around in the subconscious realm, it's like you're putting a different face. What you see on the outside is like, yeah, oops, there you go.
Yeah, we disappeared for a minute. We're good. The audio was going.
So yeah, we're trying to, and again, Julianne, do the cards sideways. It's almost the same. You know, we're trying to create that balance. We're moving from the 2 of discs into the 3 of discs. So it's taking that energy that we have from the 2 of discs, moving it. And as you see with the 2 of discs, there's movement. There's the shifts are going on. And then in the 3 of discs, we start seeing a stability taking place.
Like it's anchoring, trying to anchor on Earth in the physical.
Correct. We're trying to find that groundingness. Remember that this is discs, so we're talking about besides the material things, the focus, I think, overall for the discs in the Chair of the Holy Light is structure, stability, well-being overall. And that's what we're trying to do here. So we have harmony. And so we're trying to stay rooted, and Libra is an air sign. So we're trying to get everything into an equilibrium so that we can remain balanced and to move on in our endeavors and whatever we're doing, even within ourselves. The 3 of discs here with the Chair of the Holy Light, it says here it's traditionally the card of genius. And it talks about, I'm going to talk a little bit more about, not too much, about what what Christine wrote about this card. And it talks about the mastermind, the creator, trying to be more sufficient, try not to rely on other people. Yeah, we feel the weight. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's okay to ask for help, but we can't really rely on it. So with this card, the harmony and the balance is trying to take matters into our own hands and take responsibility for our actions, what we do with our creativity. The three of this is very specifically about achieving a masterwork, finding the right set and setting in which to immortalize your talent. We have wonderful creators around the world that they have to lock themselves. They have to go away. That's the only way. And I'm one of these people. I get easily distracted, so if there is some form of external thing that's going on that I feel is going to disturb what you're trying to work on, I have to move away from that. But also you can't be in total isolation. So the overall design and the keyword harmony point to the internal balancing act that allows, I like this, that allows a raving genius to function productively within the demands and limits of his or her times. Again, working with all the challenges that are going on outside, but just still remaining focused. Eliminating what could be distracting you from what you need to stay focused on.
Yeah, I kind of marked those same passages. There are a few more, but I think that covers most of that three of discs energy.
How about let's see here. For some reason I wrote a lot here. But at exaltation, Saturn finds himself fulfilled and satisfied in all his desires and dreams, liberated to indulge his natural affinity with the Venusian forces of Libra. Inspired by her evocation of the good, the true, and the beautiful, Saturn expresses his most beneficent. Oh, you're not reading with me, sorry. Expresses his most beneficent, I believe, and beautiful intentions. At these times, Saturn's monumental creativity enshrines cultural achievements and a stunning display of aesthetic prowess, all based on the timeless values of natural law. That's a lot. I can't read it. I can, but I won't.
And you guys can see this book is dense.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this card packs a punch. There's so much to it. But I love the idea of, tapping into our genius.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we have to be members of Mensa, but it's like tapping into that inspiration, that soul inspiration, and building and creating what we want with patience. And when we're stuck, it's quite possibly that something is out of balance. I don't know which way to put it. Right? And we feel the weight of the world.
Yeah.
And often when we're feeling the weight of the world, because we're so focused on financial and material things, what we really need is to connect back into the other things of true and lasting value that aren't monetary, that aren't material. And that's how we get that balance back. And when we have that balance back, things flow. Things flow much better.
Oh, I want to read so much about this, but it's just, it's amazing. I think the reason why I connect more to the three of discs, there are a few cards, but this one in particular is just the approach and the discipline you take, because being an artist myself, you find these nuances. So when I was reading this, I was just like, Yeah, this is so true. But the genius of Three of Discs reversed is grounded in Saturn's urge to protect and support the people's highest wisdom, to stabilize and preserve it for humanity's posterity.
Yeah.
For me, the way I'm interpreting this is, you're creating this work. You want it to connect to people, and this applies to us as readers and as healers. We're providing our energy. We're providing our insight, and we want to see people grow. We want to see people learn.
Yeah.
And we want that to have an influence of sorts. Again, going to art, music, we want it to connect to people so that if they do get it, they can pass that information, down to others, share the experience.
That's Saturn longevity energy.
Yes, you're right.
Just continue on for generations, from one group of people to a next. Is this going to, is what I'm building, what I'm working towards, going to last? Is it going to have a lasting impact? Will it impact the world in some way, big or small? But is it going to live on, basically?
The legacy.
The legacy, yeah. And it's really, this is discs and pentacles and earth. It's not the physical things that necessarily need to last for the legacy. Legacy isn't a material thing, right?
Right.
It's the story. It's the impact. It's the way someone's actions or things they created inspired others. Because it is a 3, which is a creative energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're starting to see the movement towards what we want to complete, but we're still in the early stages. We're building, we have that stability.
And one thing I noticed as we were talking and holding this up is that, if we include the earth here with the sun, there's actually 4 orbs, right?
Yes.
So it's like trying to get to building the foundation of the 4, but these need to grow, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, not yet. We're still, it's like, it's like getting stuff together so we can get to that 4 energy of that 4, number 4 is the foundation energy, stability, and then to build upon that more.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to show. So here we are with the early stages of growth of our ideas. And then here. So we're starting to see, we're planting those roots.
The eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. This initial stage, I'm going to hold these up together. It's backwards for me with live, so I don't know if this is in order, but
It is.
This is the first clue, this first decan, or the first sign, earth sign, Capricorn energy is slow, it's methodical, you need to maintain balance.
Yeah.
And it's just the start. It's the start of the sequence. It's the start of the whatever vision we had with that eye.
Mm-hmm.
And then it keeps going. I think a lot of people get caught up in the getting things started and going and things get out of balance, but this isn't the end.
Yeah.
It's the beginning.
It's like the first 3 cards are the first phases.
Yeah.
And most of the suits, the first 3 cards tends to be the first steps that you make.
It lays the groundwork.
It does.
And then you build the foundation and you build upon that and you build. Okay, let's move on.
Told you.
It's like I want an hour conversation on each one. So that would be really boring.
Or number 4.
There. Yeah. Okay, so we're on to the 4 of discs. So the astrology. So the 4, 5, and 6 are for the second or the fixed elemental sign. So we're Earth here, so it's Taurus. So 4, 5, and 6 will be Taurus, and then the 3 decans within Taurus. Oh, and I didn't explain decans. So if you don't know, it's so each sign is 30 degrees, and it's 10 each of the 10 degrees within the sign. Okay, so though the aces went first, second, or ace 2, 3 went first, second, third decan within Capricorn. In the next 3 groupings, it's different. So it's Number 6 is the first decan. Number 4 is the second decan. And 5 is the third decan. And it's the same order. It goes 9, 7, 8.
It makes sense to us.
I'll explain it here.
Yeah.
So the astrology of the 4 of discs is for the second decan of Taurus, the fixed sign. And the second decan of Taurus is ruled by Mercury, because Mercury rules Virgo, which is the second sign from Taurus. The essential dignity is the upright complement. So Venus in Aries, that's because Aries is the ruler of Taurus, and Aries is the opposite sign of Libra, Venus's other sign. And the reverse detriment is Venus, the ruler of Taurus, in Scorpio, because Scorpio is opposite Taurus, Venus's sign. So that's the astrological energy. So we're looking at the 4 of discs. And I felt like, so we have the eagle rising here out of the fire, which is like the phoenix rising out of the fire. And I thought the eagle, because eagle is another symbol for Scorpio. And she didn't mention that in the book, but I'm like, oh, that's really interesting, because in the reverse, it's Venus and Scorpio. So I feel like there's like a Scorpio hinted energy throughout this card. But we look at Mercury and Taurus. Mercury, again, the intellectual mind, in very earthy, very grounded Taurus energy. I mean, I see Taurus as like gardening and baking and cooking and the luxuries of life, but it's very much nature-based for me as an astrologer. Other people might not agree so much, but it's like balance, like the mind needs to be balanced in all this grounded energy. So Mercury can be very grounded in Taurus. It can also be in great conflict with Taurus. Because Mercury rules Gemini, the next sign and adjacent signs can butt heads very easily. So it just depends on how it's played out. But I just marked the section here, upright or reversed. Venus takes the form of her totem eagle. Yeah. Nesting in a bed of flames. Below the nest, a bubble of pure potential shelters 4 orbs representing the 4 elements. Upright, the influence of the moon, supportive ancestors in parentheses, imparts just enough psychic moisture to keep the eagle and her charges from parching in the emotional aridity of the fire sign Aries. And that's for the Venus in Aries as the upright complement. In plain terms, there's enough wisdom and nurturance to guide and shelter those who are still forming despite the combative and challenging environment. So we have both Aries and Scorpio, and both those signs in traditional astrology are ruled by Mars. So there's like this strong Mars or Martian undercurrent here of fire, of difficulties. Scorpio can be difficulties, it's intense. And yet we have this Venus Taurus energy and Mercury, the mind, like you can see Mercury is trying to lift up, or as the connector, because Mercury is the psychopomp, connecting between that Earth-Venus energy and all that fiery Aries, Martian, Scorpio energy. So I feel like it's very complex in the symbolism.
This one is, yeah.
Again, like I'm still impressed at how complex the symbolism is, though upon first impression, even when I just look at it, I think, oh, that's a symbol. It's just an eagle and flame, right? But it's just, there's like layers to this that you can sit with. I mean, you don't have to even look at the astrology of the card. You can read this based on the imagery. Of course, we have like the owl, and I think it's
like a parrot.
A parrot. So this bird symbolism, which can be seen as Mercury, the messenger, the birds as messengers. Yeah, it's heavy with symbolism. It's very non-traditional as a 4 of discs. You know, like RWS 4 discs, I call my Ebenezer Scrooge card. You know, that's not this energy here at all. It's the foundation of the 4 elements together, the 4 discs, the 4 orbs, and what can arise out of this through challenge, through the fire that could potentially destroy you or destroy what you're doing. Yet you can rise out of it and rise triumphantly. But you have to have your mind, I'm getting bad lighting here. There we go. You have to have the mercurial mind grounded in that Taurus energy. Yeah. What else did I mark here? I think that was it. Yeah. Like it feels very transformative for me.
It is, because we have we have that underlying Scorpio influence, and Venus with Aries versus Scorpio. We have these two energies that are going against each other. You know, one's cardinal, Aries is cardinal, Scorpio is fixed. And it's Aries wants to move with Venus. Scorpio wants to be really intense in what it does. And you have to, again, going back to the disc, you have to, I can't help but say this, you have to create that foundation. You have to create that balance, because it is for me, I feel a lot of fire. There's a lot of movement in this card.
Yeah, there is a lot of fire. There's a large, like a strong Mars undercurrent to it. But yeah, you have to be patiently build up to this. And then that's kind of how I said, like, then you actually like birth something out of it. Then you have the actual birth from the seed planting of the ace, right? Yeah. The birth of, can I do this? Of the vision you had at the beginning.
It's working with, I wrote here, challenging environment, how to work with all that different energy. We're deviating, Julianne and I were deviating for what the book is saying, because this is what we're picking up right now. So with me, I will pick up more intuitively what I see, but I also want to learn from the book as well and try to bring in both of those perspectives. I'll read here really quick. The Four of Discs, the way that Christine describes is more about inheritance, which is interesting. It's what someone who is new and exploring with what they're trying to work for. It's a generational card, which is how she more or less explains it here. I'm trying to find what I wrote here, or what I underlined here. Okay. This is the reverse. So this is Venus and Scorpio, what I'm going to read here. Bear with me. A lack of guiding overview is one of the crippling limitations of this card when reversed, leading to the inability to correctly estimate the results of one's action in advance. Okay, I'll read that again. Leading to the inability to correctly estimate the results of one's actions in advance. This is reversed. Wisdom dictates to move slowly and deliberately if change is required, as the consequences will affect more than just oneself. Seek out trustworthy advisors and allies among the older generation. Yes, I threw that in. Listening to those who remember the long-term development of the current enterprise. So remember, you know, the people who were there before you.
Right. Well, it's interesting how the slow Saturn energy carries throughout. Because it's slow Earth. Earth energy. Like that just carries through this whole suit. And it's like the foresight, right? What did we see? What was our vision?
Yeah.
We have to keep carrying it through. And it's like, again, you can't rush to the end. Once you have the vision, it takes time to build, make sure things are in balance, do all the things you need to do. Sometimes you're stuck, sometimes you wait, sometimes you move forward, and you just keep building on that vision. You can't manifest your vision overnight. It can take years and years and years sometimes.
And look where this is just a wonderful basis. Look how simple.
Yeah.
Easy. Okay. Now look where we are.
Yeah. Okay. It gets more complicated.
But it doesn't have to be. In life,
in a good way. It gets more complex is a better way.
Yeah. But this is a journey. This is how life is. We're going to have all these different experiences, and Christine visually interprets this in such a way. It's just like, wow, this is complex. And with the planetary influences and the signs, it's just like.
And just think of where we get if we keep following this vision and taking our time and not rushing and then embrace the challenges along the way, you get to that 10 of Pentacles.
You will. Yeah.
You get there. Okay.
Did
We're kind of like doing a fool's journey through each of the pips.
Yeah.
Building up.
You see Sanskrit's blue.
Yeah, this is one intense deck. It is. It is. And that's like how I keep saying, like when I first got it, at first I was like, the astrology does not compute. And then I was like, oh, it's simple art. It's just, astrological collage from like the Middle Ages. And then I'm like, no, it is way, way more. It is so much more.
It forces you to slow down.
Yes, exactly.
Because you look at your RWS decks or any other decks, maybe non-traditional decks, and read this. This book fills in the gap, the story.
I don't know. It's maybe like 5 by 4.5, but it's
like Bible size.
Yeah, and then there's a second book, and it's densely written. Yeah, I love it.
It's beautiful once you open the book, and you just don't read this book when you're in a rush. Don't go through the deck when you're in a rush. Do it when you want to be in a meditative, contemplative state.
Yeah,
you'll ease into it.
Yeah, yeah, you can't. Yeah. Okay, 5 of discs. Okay, for the astrology, so it's the 5 of discs is for the 3rd decan of Taurus, the fixed sign. And it's ruled by, Taurus ruled by Saturn, because Saturn rules the 3rd earth sign from Taurus, which is Capricorn. It's essential dignity. So upright, it's exaltation. Venus in Pisces is the exaltation of Venus. And Venus fall or debilitation is in Virgo. Okay, so the Taurus or the Saturn in Taurus energy, like it can be stuck. Like astrologically, Saturn in Taurus energy can be like, why isn't my garden growing? I'm just going to use the symbolism of Taurus as a garden because that's so much what it is. Why isn't this growing? But like you can look at the card, like there's stuff happening. There's stuff happening all around, right? And it's like we need to slow down even more. And we can get caught up in why hasn't what I wanted happened already, or caught up in, so Saturn can signify loss. Why did that not work? Why did I lose that? Why did that move away from my life, from my goal, in my physical realm, whatever it might be? But Saturn also creates space for more fertile ground to come in. And so I kind of see, like in this card, I keep wanting to point on screen. I kind of see that I need to point for myself. Like in this card is like what can grow, but also what needs to be rooted out, what needs to be cleared, so more of what we want can actually grow in its place. And I just love like this. Like we have the solar system. It's like it's all coming together.
Yeah.
But I kind of see these blue lines. Like I feel like there's space down here at the bottom under the cross. Like, okay, some stuff, yeah, we tried it, not the right thing, but we learned something from it. That's Saturn. He's the karmic lord. Like, okay, I learned stuff from that. This stuff got weeded out. This stuff got torn out. This is stuff I'm weeding out. Maybe what I thought I wanted to build off that 4 energy, right? What I wanted to birth out of the flames, maybe not the right thing, but it's creating that space for more to come in. And I don't know how well.
There are the tools on the bottom.
Yeah, there's all the tools. We have the tools. We've been working towards something, and it's dry, sandy ground. And you think, well, what can grow here? A lot. And maybe, you just need to move over and, there's stuff growing on the sides. So don't get caught up on what's been weeded out or what you've weeded out, what's been lost, what's been taken away. And the 5 is the number of change, because it's all coming together. All coming together energetically. So yeah, Saturn and Taurus energy can be like, oops, I killed all my plants in the garden. Okay, but you learned something from that. And so now you have the space to start over. The Venus and Pisces energy, like Pisces, the deep ocean waters, and that can be kind of like what this deep blue is here. In the psyche, and Venus wanting things to grow, like how you imagine things to come out, how you're dreaming it into being, how you're dreaming you want to create it.
Yeah.
Sort of like seeing like, oh wait, I have all these tools and now there's space to do more or to do better or redo things, right? Mm-hmm. And in the reverse, Venus and Virgo, Venus and Mercury energy can be very clashing. Like the focus is on that space and those tools that aren't being used. And it could be like, oh, I haven't done this and I haven't even done that. And it's Venus, the creative element, getting lost in Virgo's meticulousness. Like I wanted it to be perfect and it wasn't, so it's ruined. That's sort of an extreme. I wanted it to go this way and that didn't happen and now I can't do what I want. And this is sort of like focusing on that loss. Like,
yeah,
oh, it's over. It wasn't perfect. And so we're gonna have to like work on getting that turned around and realizing, oh no, I've learned some skills. I've learned some tools. I've learned from those mistakes. Or, okay, it doesn't have to be quite by the book because that doesn't always work. And then you allow things to remanifest and rebuild and regrow. So that's the astrology.
Should I read from the book?
Yeah, I had a few things really marked here. Oh yeah. So the number 5 always references the human will in expression. And here we can see an esoteric diagram of this very dynamic at work. So I thought that was because I never thought of a 5 as the human will in expression. So expressing your will. But like in the reverse, like it's not letting yourself express that will because it's not exactly how you wanted it to be. And so that's what I get with the reversal energy. But I'm like, yeah, the human will. And it will, like you can play on the word, like will can also be allow. What does the human allow to grow and change and come from this? Or is our will working against us? In that reversed energy.
It's also allowing yourself to give yourself permission.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah.
So
permission and giving whatever you're building in this pentacle disc realm, giving it permission, to not be quote unquote perfect. That Virgo energy has got to be perfect.
Yeah. Just be kind to yourself in a sense. Don't be so hard on yourself. I'm looking here. In here, the 5 of Discs is described. I wrote down key things. It's going to counter a bit but what Julianne was saying. But I have here, let me see it. The 5 of Discs represents the gift and burden of charisma that a self-aware person possesses. Male or female, a person who is awake and cultivating his or her consciousness radiates out of their body with an entirely different energy than a person who is habitually unconscious. So in a state, what we're seeing here could be the conscious on the upper part where we see the horns for representing the bull. And I'm a big thing about conscious and subconscious. I look at that in all cards that I read. And then underneath, we have the underlying influence of the subconscious. What are we actually doing to create that energy to
that Pisces energy?
Yeah, it radiates.
The subconscious.
Let's see here. The 5. It is for this reason that the 5 of Discs has become the card. Oh, I have to back up. My apologies. Either way, charisma is attractive and arresting. The energy sparkles and makes an impression on people. It is for this reason that the 5 of Discs has become the card of infatuation, desire, seduction, and their attendant gratifications expressed in the classical tradition as flattery and flirtation. When you see typically the 5 of pentacles or coins, it's usually a scene of despair, being taken advantage of. So that's what we see here, is being seduced. Someone who could be leading us astray. We're not really seeing things fully. We could be led astray. I'm looking back here at the cards. We don't see this in this card, but
in this card, no.
But
I got it.
Okay, but the way that Christine translates this, when you read what she has to say, take her words and apply it to the card. In a way, it does make sense. There is a lot of potential that we see in this card. We have the signs. It's right there in front of us. This is the attraction. We're seeing all this. We see the earthiness. We see the flowers. We see the astrological signs there. It's addressing all signs, everyone for this. It's out there. It's the energy that's there. It's how we take that energy and how we use it. Okay. If we get lost in the underworld or the subconscious part, like here, we're seeing.
Sorry.
No. You could go ahead and flip it over. Okay. The tools aren't doing anything. She didn't mention the potential. Everything that we need is right there. This is the attractiveness. This is the desire. We're seeing all this beauty in this card. And when you look at it, it's like, wow, this card has a lot happening. You're immediately attracted to it. So you have that energy. What are you going to do with it? Do you feel the energy that's coming from this card could actually pull you in a different direction? Remember what Julianne was saying about will. It's entirely up to you how you're going to use the energy from this card. Are you going to take the nice positive aspect here and work good with it? Or are you going to just stay kind of contemplating and, there's nothing moving here. We have the potential with the movement of the rays, but everything is here. It's how we're going to use it. What part of your will are you going to use to get to the next three cards?
Yeah, and you could see the rays, the Venus and Pisces energy, the subconscious, but it's also, illusion. Are you going to just get lost in the illusion? Or maybe the illusion of someone else's charisma? It's like, or your own.
I mean, when you do a reading and this card comes up, it doesn't necessarily have to be reflected on you. It could be someone that you're interacting with, and this is the energy that the card is guiding you towards. And like, wow, this person has a lot of potential to guide you in a good way. Or this person really is in a dream realm, really has its heart in the right place, but really isn't making it move, really isn't moving forward with it.
Stuck.
Yeah.
Taurus. Step the garden, stop building. Everything died, got to redo,
Yeah.
Or the weeds took over. Yeah. So very intense card. I did mark a special marking. I just want to read the last paragraph because Amy and I were talking earlier how this deck seems very like the discs. Some of the things that we read here, and of course we can't read it all for you, but it's very fitting for what's gone on this past week. So the last paragraph for the 5 of discs is there is an inherent caution associated with this card about allowing ourselves to be swept off our feet by the magnetic charmer. Some people are so good at throwing their aura that we forget our boundaries and give ourselves away. Even when this card is upright, we are put on notice. Don't let anybody, no matter how attractive or flattering, usurp your sovereign free will.
Don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
So don't get yourself stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the 6. I kind of wish I could just read the book. Maybe I'll
Oh Lord.
read the book, make podcast on it or something.
That's an idea.
Yeah. A lot of talking. Okay.
There you go.
can't read that long out loud. Okay, 6 of discs. So the 6 is for the first decan of Taurus, the fixed sign, and the fixed signs grouping of 4, 5, 6. So Taurus ruled by Venus because Venus rules Taurus. The upright domicile is Venus in Taurus, of course. And the reverse similar is Venus in Libra, her other sign that she rules. So Venus and Taurus very much at home, very, of course, she also rules Libra, very much in balance, which is often the meaning of the 6 of discs, in harmony, nurturing, like this is using my garden analogy, this is the garden growing and overflowing, and there's plenty to share with everybody else. And people are willing to share. No one takes, no one overtakes, takes more than their share. It's a nice balance and harmony. And here we have the Platonic Solids, the sacred geometry, which just shows how, nature's way that things grow.
Mm-hmm.
So like traditionally this is called the card of success in the thought system. And success isn't, again, necessarily monetary, though this card often means that, but it's successes, things are growing, things are flourishing, there's abundance, people are happy, people are sharing, there's gratitude all around. And that's what I see in this card. It's just like the growth of things in different patterns, different geometry, different way, but it's harmonious with nature. So that's the end of that astrological energy there. What did I mark here? We are looking at balance between the natural and cultivated, the instinctive versus the contrived. So I like how Christine took this 6 of discs and looked at what we can bring into balance in our lives in different ways. So between natural and the cultivated, or the intuitive versus the contrived. And she brought in these different elements to the 6 of discs that I don't usually think about. So one paragraph I want to read, because again, I felt like these cards really kind of fit with this week. But it's an interesting, a very insightful way to look at the energy of 6 of discs. So a society with real values sees to it that a wide range of good things will trickle through the collective body, following the many different kinds of talent that human creativity displays. Where diversity is encouraged, tribal members respect each other's contributions, even if they occupy different socio-cultural niches. In that sense, this card stands for the self-made person who has mastered his craft and can command a living wage. One should easily see Venus and Taurus as a commodity economy, while Venus and Libra would stand for a service economy. It takes both types to ensure a dignified standard of living for the whole tribe. And because this card in reverse is, it moves the symbols around, but it's very balanced. You need both. You need both energies.
Yeah. So
I thought that was very fitting. But an excellent way to look at the energy of this card.
Yeah,
I love it. This is like maybe one of my favorite cards in this deck so far.
Yeah, I like how she wrote it here as well. Just Venus and Taurus as a commodity economy, and Venus and Libra for the service economy.
Libra is the sign of the other, right? So it's about thinking of the other. How can I nurture the other? How can I nourish the other? How can I support the other? Venus is mother nurturing energy. So it's like, what can I do for the other in balance?
Others.
With healthy boundaries and so on. Yeah. Yeah. So
I have here. What's that?
I was saying I really like this card.
Considering where we first started, right? We're again in our comments, we're seeing things taking shape, but we're building that foundation. We're starting to see it. It's solidifying right here. I have here. Okay, Venus rules over this card, both upright and reverse. Did you read this one already? I want to make sure
No, I didn't read that part.
Okay. Venus rules over this card both upright and reverse, indicating that it is essential to get one's values in focus whenever this card appears. That sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you value
Yeah.
in what you've been creating? This card is about personal worth.
Mm-hmm. And I should mention, like, astrologically, that's Taurus second house energy, what you value and your self-worth. Like where does that stand?
Yeah. Some questions that Christine asks is, what is worth spending precious time and energy on? What is worth compromising some part of our freedom for this? Let's see. Accepting self-limitation in the spirit of grace is a gift that Venus and Taurus understands. We have priorities. We know that to get to where we want for success, we're gonna have to hold back. Taurus is a fixed sign, and they don't like changes and whatnot. But if you find that love for what you're building on, caring for, or whatnot, you'll let go. You'll release because what's that?
It's a balance.
Yeah. Because you understand what can come on, what the outcome can come from. The stark beauty of these strict geometric forms would not be possible unless all approximation, I like this, I remember I had to read this 2 or 3 times, would not be possible unless all approximation and excess are removed. So no second guessing any excess, let it go, because when you do that, you start defining the shapes, you start seeing the form, you start seeing the results. You're like, oh wow, look, I removed, it's round. Mm-hmm. So you start cutting into here, you start cutting into here, you start seeing it build up, you stop, take a look at what's happening, and you continue on because you're feeling like it's the right direction that you're going in.
Yeah. I don't know if you notice this, but like the disc, see how it actually like flows around? Yeah. Everything's interconnected.
Yeah.
Everything has to support each other and balance each other out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the 6 of discs, I know I had mentioned to Julianne that I had a concern about this card, but now as we're talking about it and I'm exchanging feedback, I feel this is the meaning of the discs, overall. Wow. And applying the discipline and letting things grow naturally.
Yeah.
You mentioned
not forcing anything.
Yes.
And working within, you could say, within the flow, within the natural flow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just remembered something else. I don't know if it was with the 4 of discs. Just we'll finish the disc because maybe yeah, I'll go back to it later.
Okay. So 7. So we're moving on to the third group of 3. So 7, 8, 9. And that's the mutable sign. So the mutable earth sign of Virgo. And then the 3 decans within, but the decan placement is in 9 is the first, 7 is the second decan, and 8 is the third. Okay, so the astrology, the second decan of Virgo, which is ruled by Saturn, because Capricorn is the second earth sign from Virgo. So it's Saturn in Virgo, which can seem quite restrictive, that restrictive energy of Saturn, the very disciplinarian energy in very meticulous and perfectionist Virgo, but Virgo is also a very productive sign, right? So this can be lots of productivity, but often with restriction or having to see past restrictions and realize productivity is still possible. I mean, there's different ways that plays out, but it's like that balance between like restriction and letting things grow. So we have the discs on the tree here, and like in a RWS deck, it's the farmer, he's like resting on his rake or his hoe, waiting for things to grow. Like the restriction is, I got to wait, you know, patience, Saturn, and I got to wait for things to grow. It is still, it's Virgo, so things are happening. And things are probably happening really well because it's Virgo, but we don't always see it. And so we have to wait, let things, you know, let things ripen, right? So the upright complement is Mercury in Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is the opposite sign of Gemini, which is Mercury's other sign. And the reverse detriment is Mercury in Pisces, because Pisces is opposite Virgo. So the upright Mercury in Sagittarius energy, Sagittarius is a sign of lots of ideas, right? I see them as like an explorer, an adventure sign. And Mercury is like the mind. So it's like even more ideas. And so it can be a little scattered. Sagittarius is mutable energy too. And it's like, where do I put my focus? I need to wait, but I want things to get moving. And Sagittarius, you know, doesn't like Saturn energy very much. It's like, no, I don't want this restriction. I have this idea, this will get me there, and this will make this happen. And blah, 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 blah. That's me, that's Mercury and Saturn, Sagittarius. So it's active. This is the upright. It's active. But again, it's like this card is ruled by Saturn. You have to harness or channel those ideas, those desires to take action into what is to come after the waiting. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Allow that to become part of perfecting what is growing, right? And then Mercury in Pisces, that's sort of like washed out Mercury energy. Yeah, like I just see like a wet dog. Mercury in Pisces. I'm all wet. I'm stuck in all this emotional, psychological stuff. And I can't think straight. And, you know, mental fog, forgetting things. And, oh, what did I need to do? It's like, yeah, it's like a wet dog energy. And yeah, so just one sentence here. Shape your routines and lifestyle to meet the needs of the project. So the needs of the project is the Saturn energy. And harnessing that Mercury in Sagittarius is the shaping your routines and lifestyle to the needs of whatever the project is. And so that's how you harness and channel that Mercury and Sagittarius. What are the needs? And you can see needs as restrictions. So I think a lot of people see like, you need to do this, you need to do that as restrictions, but it's like, you got to work with that and make it work for you. You can't fight it. You can't, dump a bucket of water on it and let it be a wet dog, right? It's just, you have to, okay, let me shape these routines, let's shape these actions, shape what I'm cultivating and growing, and let the restrictions, the needs guide my actions so that my tree can be fruitful, so I can actually produce here. So it's like cooperative energy, getting all these astrological energies to cooperate instead of like pitting one against the other. Okay.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay.
Take a look at the card, Julianne. I just noticed this. This is the beauty of this deck because there's just so much going on. Mm-hmm. I've had this deck for about a year. I've gone lightly through all the cards, but I'm just noticing. Here, I'll point out two. Here? But
in the middle? Yeah.
Does that look familiar? It looks like it's the decans. It looks like it, doesn't it?
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Blow it up here.
Yeah, it looks like it's the decans.
It does look like it. I'll have to pull out my magnifying.
No, I was just like,
just to look at details on some cards, but maybe this doing.
And it's emphasizing the green. Yeah,
it's really, yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And there's some other things in the discs too that are going on.
Yeah, working with all these
It's beautiful.
energies. And you can see this as, how do I bring in all these astrological energies together?
Yeah.
Because they're all astrologically based in some way.
Yeah, even in the eye, it brings in the energy.
Place.
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
Gaze being the crown.
Can I do this?
Another idea. There you go.
Yeah, the eye.
Yeah.
In the rays. Okay, our vision is still there.
Yeah.
The vision is still there for this journey through the discs. We just got to learn to put these energies together, get them to work together harmoniously instead of see them sort of like, against each other. Mercury in Sagittarius and Saturn in Virgo. It's like, oh, so different energies, but they can work together, which kind of reflects Saturn and Jupiter together right now. In this together, they don't have to be like pitted against each other. That you can play it out that way, but they can work together. You just gotta, again, shape your routines and lifestyle to meet the needs.
Yeah.
And see the restrictions as the needs rather than like barriers. Like, okay, I need to do that now. Not like, oh, that's in my way, and get upset about it. Yeah.
With this card is at its best, our instructions are to simply show up, do the work, and don't waste any time either procrastinating or dramatizing. Keep your attention on the process, and the outcomes will take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that time is an ingredient because nature's magic is cyclical, slow and steady. That's beautiful. I'm sorry. That's just,
I know, it's like,
it's profound.
I recommend this book even if you don't have the deck. Like, just,
it's a self-help book in a sense.
It is kind of, yeah. And like you journey with the energies of the cards, and if you reflect upon it in your life, it's like, oh yeah, I need to do that.
Much more.
Just get the book to read the book. And then if you want the deck, go get the deck. But like,
you don't necessarily need the deck, but
you don't. Is there anything else?
Do you want to talk about Mercury and Pisces?
Did I not mention that? No, it's just a wet dog.
Okay.
What does she say in the book? No, I can't remember. The reversed, here. The reversed Seven of Discs, Mercury in its detriment of Pisces, is also possesses a positive side. Okay. This has to do with gaining humility and compassion for the little guy. Yeah. The underdog. So not the wet dog, the underdog. We'll say also
I like that.
Myself. In Pisces, Mercury learns a service ethic and comes up to appreciate the wisdom of self-sacrifice. Oh yeah, Pisces is like, the hanged man energy.
Yes.
When Mercury will leave his showman's ego at the door, Pisces admits him to the ranks of the elect, where the quote unquote last that shall go first unquote perfect the invisible arts of sensitivity, empathy, and telepathy. The reverse Seven of Discs has to take the emotional risk of feeling deeply if he's going to be able to fathom that his living charges need and want from his caring attention. Wow, that like packs in that sentence. Packs in so much.
This is why Julianne and I love this deck, because it just, in the book, it's mind expansive.
Yeah, I just really enjoy reading it. Like it just, and I'll probably go back and reread it.
I know.
Take out all these tabs that I've stuck in it and do what I normally do and just write in the book. Okay. I think that's good on the 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She goes on a little bit about Mercury and Pisces, about addiction, superstition, but people who know Pisces and whatnot, that
can be Pisces energy. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
8 of Discs. So 8 of Discs for the third decan of Virgo, because it goes 9, 7, 8. Ruled by Venus, because Taurus is the third earth sign from Virgo. The upright exaltation is Mercury in Virgo. So Mercury in his own sign of Virgo is the exaltation, and the reversed is Mercury in Pisces. So we have the same upright or same reversed association here as the 7. So Venus in Virgo. So Virgo, as you know, is the sign, you may not know, is the sign of the maiden, right? The symbol is the maiden. And a lot of people associate that with Venus energy because she's goddess of love and, you know, the maiden often. And Virgo is a sign of healing and growth. So Venus and Virgo can bring like tons of growth energy. As long as you don't get too caught up in, again, that Virgo meticulousness and the need for perfection. And instead, perfect the growth you're working on, what you're creating, the Venus energy. Tremendous growth potential with this card. The exaltation, Mercury in Virgo. Mercury, again, at home in Virgo. He rules Virgo. He's exalted in Virgo. That's really putting your mind, getting your mind and putting it to work. Putting it to work with the Venus energy to create whatever it is you want to create. And again, you know, 8 is tremendous. The 8 of Pentacles is a tremendous growth card. And then the fall, again, Mercury in Pisces. That's like overwatering the garden, overthinking it all, and almost like pouring too much energy, too much growth, too much nurturing into something that you know, you can overwater plants and that they drown, right? And then I like, you know, the eye in the middle.
Yeah.
So there's our eye again. It's almost like we get through this journey of like 8 through 7. And even though the eye showed up at the top of the 7, it was small. And now it's in the center of the card. It's like, okay, now we can see the goal we set out with the ace. We can see the end result of the seed that we planted, that we envisioned. And like this, the 8 is the work is flowing. It's flowing. It still takes balance, right? We have the suns, and the moon. You know, it still takes balance between work and rest, night and day. You know, tending to that garden, weeding it, and just letting things grow. It still takes, you know, that tending. But there's like, this is all like Venus and Virgo. Like grow, let's grow. Virgo is a sign of harvest too, so we can see, you know, the sight. We see the harvest in sight. We see our goals in sight. We may already be harvesting some things. So that's the astrological energy. And what I like this sentence here. One has to be willing to fail 99 times out of 100 in order to gain the skill it takes to make a masterpiece. That's like the journey up to the 8, right? You keep trying, you fail, there's some losses, the weeds take over the garden, you overwatered, this and that, you rush something, and you like figure it, this is like, it's the figuring it out, right? You had a great period during the 6 of disc, like, oh, great, everything's in balance, it's growing, and then the 7, like, oh, you know, and then the 8, it's like, oh, it's really flowing now, and again, I see that harvest, I see the masterpiece that I have the vision for with the A's. I see the masterpiece I envisioned in my mind, that I planted those seeds for, that I took those initial actions. And now it's like, it's going to happen. So yeah, there's a lot of flow here, which I like. And just the Mercury and Pisces energy here, like she wrote, in the sign of his detriment on the late winter side of the zodiac in Pisces, Mercury doesn't find the great abundance of raw materials that abound in the harvest sign of Virgo. Yeah. Therefore, he becomes a minimalist, an expert in frugality, a yogi, and an advocate of the poor. So it's like, okay, the masterpiece I'm making is growing, it's flowing, it's great. Okay, I have a break right now. Let me go help some other people. Well, that is just doing its thing. Yeah. So it's like what you can give back to the whole. Yeah. There you go. So yeah, I love, like, it's imbalance. It's not, you know, night is dark and bad and day is sun and light. It's like it's all, you need this balance. It's getting that balance of the two back, or getting a handle on working and bringing in this balance of the two, of night and day, rest and action, self and other. So yeah, it's mastering the balancing act.
I wrote, I don't think this is what she wrote, but I put here, achieving higher levels of awareness through creative achievement.
Mm-hmm.
And oops, I want to make sure, yes, I'm on the right chapter. Bear with me here 1 minute.
I'll just admire the card.
Yeah. The Eight of Discs manages to achieve an epiphany, the accomplishment of which sets a high bar for artists and visionaries of future generations. The whole concept of exaltation, yeah, I said, okay, implies making contact with something so essential and archetypical, archetypal, that it is able to lift us out of our normal state of existence and transfer us to a higher mode of being.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. This is a card that would call directly to artists, because artists, visionaries, everything is in the cosmos. Everything is energetic. Everything is that kind of movement.
Yeah.
And let me bring the card up here.
Masterpiece.
Yeah. At the same time. It's also a card of, would you say contemplation or stillness? It looks like it's a moment of like, things feel good. Things feel.
Yeah, I would say like meditation in action, or active meditation.
Okay. I follow what you're getting at.
Yeah. The flow, the feeling of being in the flow, being in the groove, of that state of flow. Yeah.
Almost a form of detachment, in a sense. And what I mean by that,
it's like the journey, you know, is like trying not to be so attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
And letting things grow as they will. Sometimes, you know, things change along the way. And then it's like once you let go of that attachment to the masterpiece, like having had done the masterpiece those first 44 times or 99 times.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, and then it happens.
Yeah. And it feels right. I'm thinking about the energy when I used to do asana, when I went to classes. You get to a certain point where it's so hard to describe, but you just feel so content with everything. Everything just feels right.
Yeah.
And it is a balance, you know, when you're feeling this kind of stuff. And this is what I feel intuitively when I see this card. I relate to this card because of that energy. And it's like, it feels good. I feel content with how things are. And also internally. It's like you feel at peace.
There's like a trust. Things are gonna be just fine. Things are gonna flow, things are gonna get done. Yeah, there's this surrender. I guess it's surrender.
And also just backing up with what you're saying, this involves continuous work and effort, but this is a card of productivity. It could be productivity in the material realm, but also spiritually, emotionally, different kinds of growth in those areas.
Yeah. But I think when we have that inner growth, things in our external lives grow too.
Hence contentment.
Yes.
Inside out.
Yes.
Within, without. And
exactly. Yeah.
But don't overwork it. This is one thing that she does explain is, you know, you're finding that balance. Don't push it. You know, Virgo will tend to think, but they're also very practical. They realize they see things. It's an earth sign, so they're not overabundant in emotions or in thoughts. They use their thoughts, but they're realistic about how they're going to approach the thing that they're working on. You don't see a nexus of emotions. You don't see a nexus of fire here. You start seeing that balance.
It's very balanced.
Yeah, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Balanced discs.
Yeah. Okay. Move on to the 9.
Okay.
So 9 of discs. So this is for the first decan of Virgo. So Virgo ruled by Mercury. The upright domicile, Mercury in Virgo. So because it's the first decan. And the reverse similar is Mercury in Gemini, the other sign that Mercury rules. So this is highly mercurial. So Mercury in Virgo, again, he's at home. This is a repeat from, the 7 for the 8, the exaltation, Mercury in Virgo. It's almost like our thoughts just manifesting. Our thoughts manifesting in the earthy material realm. We see our efforts have paid off. This is totally in our groove, totally in the flow. You can see like the eagle is like there's not even flames now. The eagle is free to fly.
Yeah.
It's like there's a feeling like I look at this image and it's like accomplishment. Like I've accomplished a lot. My mind's in the right place. It's not material mind, monkey mind all over the place. It's focused. It's grounded. Virgo Earth energy, and I'm putting my mind to action and creating and flourishing. That kind of energy. And then the reverse similar, Mercury in Gemini. So again, Mercury rules Gemini. This is where so Mercury in Gemini is like way overthinking energy. It needs that groundedness of the Virgo energy. But in the reverse, like if we let it get to our heads, we could lose all those discs. We could not appreciate what's there. We could, not see what we have all around us and just be thinking about what else we want. So it can almost like fizzle all the positivity of the 9 of discs. And right here I mark, to achieve the 9 of discs, one's individual character and talents must offer something the current culture will generously support. So it's interesting how she brings some sort of this communal energy to it. Both lucky and astutely practical, such a person attracts a steady, trustworthy flow of resources in good times and bad, whether the protagonist has arrived at this position by effort or by accident. The fact that he or she can hold it all together over time testifies to the well-seasoned and mature outlook. And that's like being in the flow. Like you can flourish in good times and bad, even if like the actual, it's a material state looks different. You're still flourishing. You're still seeing your sense of value. Other people see your value. That's the generous support. Like, you can handle whatever comes. And that's that strong Mercury mind. Yeah. Something else I marked here. Oh, this one I found interesting. So this is where the term, quote unquote, pillar of the community comes from. The 9 of discs person helps the less fortunate to earn through their labor some of the profits that have accrued through his or her success. So it's a giving back energy as well. It's not hoarding the harvest. It's not hoarding like the gains. It's not hoarding what you've earned. It's not being greedy with your flow. Again, it's appreciating what you have and giving back to the community so others can achieve that as well. Yeah. So this opened me up like a whole different look, like the pillar of community concept associated with this card. because it's, you know, in the RWS deck, it's the lady of the manor. She's there with her bird of prey, you know, whatever, you know, usually a hawk or an eagle, in her luscious garden, in her manor, and there's no implication that she's giving back to society.
Yeah.
It's very much isolated in her luxury. And here it's like, we're not separate. And nines is a number of individuality, so it can be seen as like isolating, but it could be also like standing in your power and knowing what your power is to help other people. So that really opened me up on this Nine of Discs or Nine of Pentacles energy.
Yeah, I mean, this puts the person who has this kind of experience, the Nine of Discs, I use this word loosely, in a position of power, because they have things that other people don't, or they have experiences that other people don't. And this brings the awareness for you, the opportunity to share this with others. I mean, look at the base of the deck. It's filled with fruits, and everything's healthy. It's not rotten fruit or anything. It's well birthed. Can't think of it. Well nurtured. It was cared for. You did all that hard work, you know, and you have excess. You have more than enough.
Right.
We're not going to name names politically, globally, but, you know, there's excess there, and you can share it with others. I want to, let's see, thus the Nine of Discs represents the well-examined life that is truly worth living. The apparent ease, which you see in this card, it's not crowded as you saw in the previous cards. There's space, and it's opened. The apparent ease displayed on this card is the end result of a long process. Here's the key word: refinement. All that work, all that effort. You know, you're your own craftsman. You mastered what you did, whether it's for yourself, caring for yourself, for whatever you're working on. You refined it. You got it to where it is, where you want it to be. And this is what this card is all about. Yes, it doesn't show obviously community, but it gives you that opportunity to do so, to be with, to share with others. Community could be with one other person, and then that person expresses the experience, what you've gained from that person, onto the next people, and the community grows that way.
You can see this as the masterpiece, right? The masterpiece that you worked through the discs, have been working towards, had your eyes on, and now you have the masterpiece. And then what does an artist do with a masterpiece? He doesn't stick it in a storage unit and hide it usually. He shares it with others to enjoy.
And going through the suits so far, the nines is basically the end. This is it. And when we get to the 10 of discs, it's a culmination of all the signs and the experience. And that's what we'll explore next. But I wanted to read something else here. Okay. So you want to know what the secret is to achieving the 9 of discs? Here it is. One's individual character and talents must offer something the current culture will generously support. Both lucky. Did you read this already?
Yeah, that's the part I read.
I'm so sorry.
You can read it again.
But I feel this is, I guess I was looking at holding up the card and I was both lucky and astutely practical. Such a person attracts a steady, trustworthy flow of resources in good times or bad. You know how to work with what you have.
Yeah.
And you don't fall back, you don't suffer or anything like that. And I'm sorry, Julianne, I didn't hear you. And as earth signs, they have the 3 characteristics: mutable, cardinal, and fixed. Those characteristics shows the approach of each of those signs, how they're going to work towards their goals,
right.
The energy that they put into it. You know, I'm a fixed Taurus, so once I've set something, Western, Taurus. Once I said something, I put thought into it. I'm dedicated to it. You know, it's taken me many decades to get through different processes to get to where I am, but I'm doing it, you know.
Are your moon and ascendant fixed as well?
My moon it's in Leo.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm a fixed Leo, but I have all this mutable Sagittarius and Pisces energy.
Yes.
So that makes me so stubborn, I think. I hope. I hope.
You work on that.
I work on it.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yes, sometimes.
This is also a card of personal happiness.
Yeah.
Personal happiness through security, protection, and self-fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the three things that lead to refinement of what you're working on. And I think she wrote here, because I put notes here, the lion is seen as the enlightened meaning of social order, and the eagle is the illuminated individual.
Oh, yeah. So that's, and that's why the rising sun.
Correct.
Head. Yeah.
It's that level of awareness for the eagle. And the eagle is traditionally seen in animal spirit energy as wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And very strong, very powerful.
Yeah, and foresight. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have two strong forces here, the lion and the eagle, using their energies in their own ways, but achieving results from it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the 9, right? The culmination, the completion, the masterpiece.
Yes. That's another beautiful card.
Yeah.
I mean, also
beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. We got structure, order, and then
the wings. Oh.
Yeah, just the space.
You can't see my arms, but anyway. We're small and we do these. Okay.
That's how Julianne and I connect to this deck, because we compare and contrast, we see similarities with some of these other cards. So
okay, so then past culmination, we have the 10. And the 10 in this deck is all 3 earth signs energies together. So Christine, the creator, phrases it as the grand trine in earth, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So it's just all those energies together in flow. Here we have the tree of life from Kabbalah, which is very common for the 10 of discs or 10 of pentacles. And everything, like, it's almost like I see them as the inner workings of a clock, and they're all flowing in together and interacting and working with each other. And like, I see a lot of harmony here. And that is like, we're physical beings in a physical earthly realm, and we all want everything in our physical life to work together, to flow, for us to be able to, set our eyes on something with that ace energy, have the eye at the top of the 10 here. Our vision is there, and I keep wanting to point to you.
You can do it.
The vision, no one else can see me do it, but I'm pointing. You see that vision there? And we've learned how to get all the pieces to work together from the ace through the 10. Can we do it again? Hopefully. There might be some hitches along the way. We have more lessons to learn, but it's like, this is when everything's just falling into place perfectly in our earthly physical realm. But going back to what we said, it's not because it's about money or physical things or possessions. It's about our value and recognizing our value and our worth and what we can offer to the world. And then I don't think I marked anything on the 10. No, that's all I have to say on the 10. All right.
I got a question for ask you. The eye, would that represent, I don't think it's not Jupiter. Would it represent the sun? Would the eye represent the sun?
Okay. Sites, but there's a sun at the center here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think with the tree of life, the planetary placements and the signs, because it's different here.
Right. And we have sun and fire and moon, and just So she talks about, not in this card, but one of them, like the Eye of Horus,
Yeah.
right? The eye is also wisdom, our insight, our focus. I mean, it can mean many things, right? But I just see it as, the eye through the cards, from the ace to the
Yes.
10. The seed we planted, what we set our eyes on, we got that masterpiece fully with the 9. And then that's not the end, right? There's more. And if we can stay in that flow, we can stay in, like, work with what we've learned along the way, be patient along the way, take losses as lessons, and so on. We can keep our eye on many goals, that 10 of discs, all those options, all those areas of our physical lives, and understand our value and our worth in each and every one. And it might be different in each and every one.
Yeah. I mean, the tree of life is basically the blueprint. So,
yeah.
And we can use the way this is set up. This is the blueprint, and for the 3 signs, earth influence. And again, not again, but Capricorn, discipline. Taurus, perseverance. Virgo, analytical. So
I got the card if you want to put it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by combining those attributes, throughout the discs, the pentacles, I lost my train of thought.
We're at the end. It's just putting it all together. Putting it all together, and then the 10, numerologically breaks down to the 1, and then we take all this and we plant a new seed. We start a new path, a new experience, a new process.
Yeah, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm also looking at what I underlined. I didn't highlight. I underlined this time. And the classic meaning of the 10 of discs applies to the teachings of the Kabbalah just as easily as it does to the castle community. She makes reference to the 10 of discs as the castle.
Yeah, the castle community. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so we have the protection, the security, the labor that was put into creating that, which is self-sustaining. And those attributes of discipline, perseverance, and analytical was what was put. The castle is our body, in a sense. Yeah. This is who we are. This is how we build ourselves. You look at everyone in this planet, and you see some people whose castles aren't looking very good. And you can see where maybe they're lacking in some aspects that they need to rebuild. So in that sense, you can sort of see where they possibly are lacking discipline. They don't have the perseverance, not really putting the direction. I'm not pointing at anyone in particular, but this rules us overall. It affects me, affects Julianne. It's how we,
working with that Saturn energy, which is what we begin with.
Yeah.
Like, that just sets the stage for, like, the journey through the disc. Like, you can't rush anything.
Yep.
You have to work hard. There may be times where nothing happens.
Yeah.
And you have to focus when you can. And again, like, you'll fail 99 times, and then you get your masterpiece, and then you realize, oh, I can do this again, and I can do more.
Yeah.
It's like, I got all these energies flowing with me. Yeah.
It's going from, we keep pulling this card because it is the basic. We go from here.
We started with.
And then here, this is where we are, Saturn.
Yeah.
So let's say this could be the sun, even though we have the sun here. This is our grounding.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't.
Our roots, foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what happens in between, all the elements and all the energies.
Yeah.
We have the Ouroboros, the cycle.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a guess and say this is Aquarius because there's a skull and there's a star. So I'm going to say maybe it's Aquarius. I think this is supposed to be Aries here. The caduceus is, Mercury.
Mercury, yeah.
And we got the moon. I don't know what this is here.
So are you doing the Kabbalah Association?
I'm playing it by ear with what I know, because I know what I said isn't accurate with other people's.
But that's where, like, the freedom to work with the image and what it means for you as the reader.
Okay.
Which is a whole other topic, but
Yeah.
yeah. You can then like see how all those energies are working together.
Yeah.
And the sun at the center, at the heart.
Yeah.
And the eye, the focused mind, the intuitive mind, the mind guided by spirit. So the eye can be like spirit's guidance as well. Yeah, it all comes together. I was just thinking like this might be, this image would be great to like blow up and just have.
Oh, yeah. We need the heart.
Like
and
this.
also we have the colors, right? So we have the purple surrounding the eye for like our third eye.
Yeah, the crown chakra.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it goes with the chakra colors.
Yeah, the root. But I don't understand the root for the moon. Maybe the emotional one?
Well, the earth is the earth. And the moon, so the moon reflects the sun here on earth.
Okay.
So astrologically, this is our physical, this is our soul or spirit realm. The moon is the emotions, but it reflects the sun into our physical lives.
So that's placed properly. Okay. Thank you for that.
We talked about it in this section because this is not the standard version of the tree of life. Because Doth is like here. So it's an older version. She talks about that in here.
Oh, she does. Okay.
Yeah, she it somewhere in there. But yeah, it's everything coming together into, this is traditionally the card of wealth. And wealth isn't necessarily money or what's in your bank account. It's the value of everything in your life. Do you appreciate it? I want to say, do you honor it and do you use it? Do you make practical use of what you have? Like that's why you value things. Like something I've always like thought to myself is like, I take care of my home. I clean the best I can with animals and a child. I take care of my things, not because they need to be orderly in this and that. Things get out of order all the time, but I take care of them because I appreciate them.
Yes.
And if I appreciate them, then I honor the value they have in my life.
Yeah.
Which is also why, like, I'll occasionally just clear out clutter because I'm like, I'm not using that. I'm not appreciating it. I'll give it to someone else who does, Yeah. And then going back to earlier, it's like you clear stuff out and create space so new things can come in.
That's your way of giving back to community. You have stuff and it's just like send it up there.
It makes it sound like I have tons of stuff, but and I just don't like piles of stuff, right? Because it's like I'm not valuing it. I'm not appreciating its value. And maybe I need it and I don't need it anymore. So pass it on to someone who does it and appreciates its value.
Yeah.
And
again, that's a general overview of discs.
Yeah.
Value.
Yeah, value. It's as she mentioned, it's value. It's all about what we value, and that comes from within.
Yeah.
And maybe the question is like, do I value something because someone else tells me I should value it, or because I truly value it?
Yeah.
Whether or not it cost $1 or 1,000 or something, I don't know.
How do you feel about the influence of pride? Is that's more of an ego aspect, correct?
Yeah.
Too much pride.
And I'm just kind of looking through the cards where pride would come in. I mean, that can come in the reversals, or especially like 3 of Discs reverse, the weight of the shoulder. Like we're too proud to admit, like it's too much to handle, and or whatever. We haven't been patient enough. We don't have things in harmony. Because when pride takes over, we lose value. We lose our own value, and it becomes. She mentions this quite a few times in this chapter. We get inflated value. So she talks about like a deflated sense of self and an inflated sense or an inflated ego, and how both of those are detrimental in the same way because we don't honor our value accurately. Because someone with a very low sense of self-worth, they see no value in themselves, and someone with an inflated ego or inflated sense of self-worth, it's inflated because they don't really see value in themselves. So they're trying to give off an image. And so that is a detriment to the self, but then also society, because then you can't share what you have to offer.
That can almost be with the 5 of discs.
Mm-hmm.
In a
She
sense.
probably, yeah, I didn't underline it when I did these tab things.
It
But
is
she
the 5 of
mentioned it,
discs.
like quite a few, like I'll say at least 4 times in this whole discs chapter. And I thought, oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, she has here, if this is the 5 of discs, if one party is seeking short-term ego gratification, the result of getting involved will be frustrating for the party who wants a deeper connection.
Mm-hmm.
So you have one person who's just like, yeah, I'm doing this for me, but the person that they're trying to connect to or communicate with, they're wanting something different. They don't want the surface. They want what's really happening inside.
Yeah. And there's like, I guess kind of an overall emphasis here is like, we're not separate individuals from everyone and everything else.
Say that again?
We're not separate individuals from everything and everyone else. We are part of an earthly community, right? Part of the earth environment. And so that's an important understanding with this kind of journey through this disc energy. It's not me, and what I do doesn't affect anything else. Like what we all do affects many other things in ways we won't ever know, whether we consciously interact or we consciously don't interact, because that affects everything else as well. That's the interconnectedness. Oh, it's over 2 hours. Oh my God.
But you weren't seeing it.
So we've lost because we probably were blabbing too much and it's long. So if anyone, whoever's still out there, if you have anything you want to add or ask or say before we sign off, and go get a proper lunch.
Lunch.
Yeah, a real lunch, because you both, I think, rushed something in before this.
And we say that because we've earned this discussion and we worked really hard and we put effort into it, so we're going to have lunch.
Yes, yeah. And I was working all morning before this, so I'm ready for some actual downtime, some rest. Well, if no one has any questions, I know we started later. I think last time we did at 10 a.m. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And we had a lot more people. Yeah, I think we did 10 to 12 before. And because I've noticed that, like, we did Saturday too. Like Saturday mornings are like, there's definitely more live activity. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you. Wow, 2 hours. Thank you.
All the others were like almost 2 hours, and I was like, oh, it's getting long.
Do you have any questions, Natalie?
There could be some.
Here.
We're just wrapping up. It's been over 2 hours, so you can go back to watch from the beginning on the screen there. I realize, like, if you enter a live late, you just click to the beginning and you just start watching from the start. It can get confusing, like with the don't look at the chat. That's okay, see that. You just click back to the start and watch. Thanks, Natalie. Yeah, we're basically just studying this together live and sharing it with all of you. Yeah. Okay, so I will end the broadcast now. Thank you, whoever's watching this later on, if you get this far in the video.
Say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
The last suit that we're going to do is wands, and Juliana and I are going to discuss today. I might as well just say, should we do maybe April to fit in the line of Aries?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
We're doing this almost every 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, so that's perfect. Or maybe late March.
Okay.
That's
Let's
2
see.
weeks away.
Yeah.
2 months, 2.5. Yeah. Whatever we can plan it out far enough in advance now. I feel like we're going to be there like before we know it. Like, oh, it's time for the next one,
Very, very quick. And then we have the court cards, and then
we'll do the courts.
It's going to be a year. It's going to be
Yeah, we'll probably do all the courts in one. That's 12 cards.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We haven't figured out at all. Maybe we'll break it up in 2. And then there's majors. We haven't done the majors yet, which is,
I think
again,
good.
Astrological associations aren't traditional.
Yeah.
And it's a little like, my brain doesn't work with it.
I think we should get it. I think once we've gone through this,
Yeah.
You being
And it's
so,
good to get started with the pips.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's good that we start
Yeah.
this way and then going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can
So
bring
we'll
it
figure
in.
it out next. So the next one will be, I don't know, March, April. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. Signing out.
Thank you. See you in a few months or sooner.
Yeah. Oh, go subscribe. We're
Yeah.
yeah. It's linked below.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.